Marine Aquarium. My name is Summer and today I'm here as part of the World Oceans Day Youth Advisory Council. So happy World Oceans Day, very, very excited to be here. Now we have some amazing people here at the National Marine Aquarium who are actually going to be jumping in the tanks. So guys, what are you going to be up to today? What's going on?
Hiya, happy World Oceans Day. So we're going to get in a couple of minutes and then Callum and I are going to do the windows. We need them to guys actually so that we can see how we can finish. And then Callum is going to do a little bit of a dive show and then see some of our animals. And I am going to do some vlogs. So highly entertaining stuff for me.
Cool.
Cool, that is amazing. Heather is super, super cool. Hello. Do you want to say a little bit about yourself, lovely?
Oh, just started my internship here today. So first day, already able to dive, so can't wait.
Happy days, cool. And then we have the lovely Helen as well, who's going to be supervising the dive. Lovely as ever.
I'm going to be basically looking after the divers while they're in the tank, making sure that they've always got a point of contact if they need help at the bottom of the tank if that's needed there.
Oh, amazing. Right. Well, we are going to head on down so we can see our divers. So follow me. Hello, guys. Hi. We're actually behind the scenes. It's very exciting. This is rather magic. Ooh. This is where they actually look after all the animals, which is super cool. In the aquarium. Do you guys want to see one of my favourite sea creatures? Okay, I want to see if you guys can see her. She's pretty well camouflaged. You see her in the corner? There she is, little Noodles. Isn't she super cute? I absolutely love octopuses, I think they're beautiful. But she is sleeping at the moment. She's got lots of toys though, which is cool. So we've got a little ball down here, a pink ball. And then the little orange one next to her, she likes to open up. She's got lots of food inside. It's very exciting. And then on the top, she's actually got more toys. So these are just little bath toys and she absolutely loves them. She's actually got a little rubber duck as well, which is really, really cute. Oh, she's amazing, isn't she? Octopuses are truly magnificent. Cool, right, come with me. Let's go see if we can see our divers. So as we go around the corner here, we'll be able to see them. And now a little bit about the World Oceans Day Youth Advisory Council. That's what I'm a part of. So I'm kind of joined a group of people from all over the world. They're amazing and they are just such a diverse group. They inspire me every day. And we've kind of just been working on loads of different projects, resources, just to help people kind of love and just connect with the ocean a little bit more, really. The ocean is currently providing the oxygen I am breathing as I'm saying this. It's providing between 50 to 85% of it, which is quite a lot. And it's provided a lot of the materials that go into the electronic devices you are using to watch this live stream, which is really, really cool. Have a little look at this little hole here. See if you can see our divers. There they are. Isn't that brilliant? So this is our Edison Tank here. See if you can see the back from this side. Come up this way, guys. There we go. Isn't it amazing? It's such a beautiful tank, isn't it? So this is our Eddystone Tank that we have at the National Marine Aquarium. It's a little bit chilly, so they've got all the gear on. They're very, very cool though. Very, very colourful fish too, which you wouldn't think for animals that live around the UK. And also we've got some really big animals hanging up on the ceiling here, like this one here. This is an orca, or a killer whale. If you're really lucky, you can actually see these guys around the UK in the summertime, which is so cool. There we go, the Norris, the polar bear. He's fabulous. He's actually made out of recycled plastics, which is really cool. So there we go, upcycling. Super good for the environment. Some lovely animals in here too. Lovely seagrass. Oh, this is Brian. You can just see his little claws poking out. He's so cute. He's a little bit more active at night though, so he tends to sleep a lot during the day. He's amazing. Cool. Right, let's carry on. Now it's really, really cool because every person can get involved with the ocean. Obviously it's something really, really important to look after. And you can do something as simple from nothing you should doing a little beach clean, you can volunteer at an organisation. You can donate to the National Marine Aquarium, the Ocean Conservation Trust, which help look after these beautiful animals here. Such a lot of beautiful jellyfish that are just in this tank here. They're absolutely stunning. Whoa. Look at these ones. Wow, aren't they stunning? They're beautiful, aren't they? Wow. Okay, what have we got going on in the comments at the moment? Maya, age 6, the polar bear is amazing. Maya, I totally agree. Leanne Green, we miss you coming to the National Marine Aquarium. Is scuba diving a dangerous job? Well, it can be indeed. So that's why we've got the lovely Helen looking after our scuba divers today. And as long as you're careful, you'll be totally fine. But it is amazing, very rewarding hobby to have here. Look at those, they're so beautiful. Wow. Alright, you might be able to see our tank a little bit better from down here. There is our lovely divers. And this is the beautiful Lottie, who is just going to be telling you guys a little bit about the tank and our divers.
Lovely, thank you very much, Summer. So hello, as Summer said, this is our beautiful Eddystone tank. And you can see the divers at either side there. They're just doing a little bit of scrubbing of the windows. Now every single creature in this tank you'd find in the Eddystone Reef, which is just off the coast of Plymouth. If you got on a boat in Plymouth and went out for about 10 miles and jumped into the sea, you'd see all these wonderful creatures. They're really beautiful, but that does mean the tank's a little chilly. So we're going to go over to one of our divers. I've got to call him to the side. Can you see me, Callum? Yes, excellent. Spotted us. This is a lovely skate here, smiling at us. So Callum's going to make his way over. And we're going to have a little chat with him. Lovely. So, there's a little skate swimming in front. We're going to learn some sign language as well, because our scuba divers, they can't talk to each other under the water, obviously, because you can't hear. So they use their hands instead to communicate. So the first thing you need to learn if you're a scuba diver is, are you okay? Because you need to make sure that your diver's happy all the time, just in case anything goes wrong. So, everyone at home, hold your hand out like this. Put your thumb and your finger together in an O. And this is the sign, are you okay? And then we'll hold it up to our diver and we'll see what he says. Ah, brilliant, he's okay, brilliant. But just in case he wasn't okay, it's really important to be able to ask your diver, your friend, what's wrong? So to do that, you put your hand out nice and flat in front of you, and then you give it a little wiggle like this. So we'll do that to Callum now and see what he says. Is he okay? Ah, Callum's hungry. Now we don't let our divers eat too much before they get in the water, because we don't want them getting a stitch or feeling sick. So he's pretty hungry. Now he's got some pretty cool kit on. When you go scuba diving, you need lots of stuff around you to help you get under the water, because the fish swimming around him have evolved over thousands of years to cope underwater, but we haven't, so we need some special kit to help us out. So we're going to get Callum to spin. So I'm just going to tell him to spin around for us, and I want you to have a look at that big white thing on his back. Can you guess what's inside that white tank? Does anyone at home know? Well, it's full of lovely air. Some people think it's oxygen, but it's just air like the air we breathe at home. But it's a lot of air squeezed into that tank. So if you can picture your bedroom at home, it's about that amount of air, and it's all squeezed and it's under high pressure inside that tank. And then Callum's got a pipe that goes from the tank into his mouth. So you can see it going over his shoulder. This is called a regulator. And the reason he needs to breathe through this is because if he put his mouth on the tank and breathed in, the pressure's so high, his head would just explode. And we don't want that, so he's got his regulator in his mouth. And you can see the air bubbles as he's breathing out, floating up to the top of the tank. So
So he uses this air to breathe, but he also uses it for buoyancy. Now the fish swimming around him, they've got swim bladders inside them, and they fill these bladders with air to help them float, and they release the air to help them sink. And that's what Callum does with his jacket. So he's got a very special jacket called a buoyancy control device, and he can fill it with air to help him rise in the water. So I'm going to put my thumbs up to Callum now, and we'll see if he'll rise. Lovely. So he's filling his jacket with air now. You can see it's expanded around his waist, and he's floating in the water. And then we can get him to come back down again by emptying the air. You can see all those bubbles coming up. He'll go down to the bottom. Lovely. Now, as well as all these useful signs that Callum has shown us, we're going to get him to show us some animal signs, because when you're swimming around with your friends, if you're scuba diving, you don't want to miss anything. You want to make sure you tell everyone what you've spotted. So I'm going to ask Callum to show us the first animal. So have a look. Can you guess what animal Callum is signing there? Lovely. Any guesses? Comment in the box if you can guess what he's doing. What animal is he doing? I'll get him to do it again. Yes, excellent. Mary Pipe just put crab. You're absolutely right, Callum's showing us a crab. We'll try a second animal now. Ooh, so Callum's put his hand flat on his forehead. Looks a little bit like a fin. What animal do you guys think that is? Any guesses? Should we get him to do it again? So he's got his hand right on his forehead. What animal swims around in the sea with a big fin on its back? Oh, you're absolutely right. Susanna Vorland, it's a shark. So that big fin on his head looks just like the dorsal fin of our lovely sharks. And we'll do a third and final animal now. This one's a little bit tricky. So he's got his two hands linked together with his thumbs, and he's flapping his hands. What kind of animals do you think we get in the UK that swim around with big wings like that? We've seen a few of them swimming around in this video. Can anyone guess? They like to swim at the bottom of the sea. There's a few of them swimming around Callum's feet. What do we think? It's a stingray. That's amazing. So we are gonna wave goodbye to Callum now, because as I said, the water's pretty chilly and I don't want him getting too cold. So thank you, Callum, that was brilliant. And Callum is now gonna head up to the top, and we're gonna be feeding some of those animals that we were learning in the sign language. So that's Heather just in front of us. She's got a sponge and she's gonna continue to scrub the glass for us. We get lots of algae and little tiny anemones that grow on the glass, so it needs to be scrubbed. So as I said earlier, all these amazing fish and sharks and skates and stingrays, these are from Eddystone in Plymouth. So you get these species all around the UK. And just up there we've got our lovely wreckfish that are named Gavin and Stacey. They're the big grey ones. They've got a really grumpy looking expression, but they're very friendly. And there's Callum just coming down with the bucket. So the bucket has got little bits of fish and squid and some prawns inside. And he's going to go around feeding the animals. Ooh, Katie's just asked, how often do you clean the glass? So when we are open, we normally try and clean the glass twice a week. So our scuba divers will get in every single tank twice a week. and scrub different sections, because the sooner you can get the little anemones off when they're tiny, the easier it is to keep on top of them, because once they get quite big, they're hard to scrub off. Trish has asked, how many different types of shark do you have? That's a really good question. In the UK, we have about 40 different species of shark. We've got an amazing diversity. And in this tank, we've got a few of the smaller ones. We'll see if we can spot some for you. So swimming along the rocks there is one of our smooth hounds. This is Stella. She's our biggest smooth hound. And we've got about 6 of these smooth hounds in this tank. We've also got some cat sharks. If we come over here, the cat sharks are really lazy, and you find them sort of asleep most of the time. So if we look up on the rocks here, you can see there's 3 cat sharks. They're all fast asleep. They sleep for about 20 hours a day. They just rest and conserve their energy, and they're really well camouflaged to the rocks. They're staying completely still, and they just hang about there all day, and occasionally lay eggs. If we look on the rock just underneath this Cuckoo Wrasse here, you should be able to see 2 green sacs. And I've got one here, just in case you're not sure what they look like. So this here is an egg case from a cat shark, so just like those sharks up there. And they lay these egg cases and they wrap these stringy bits around the rocks, and the little babies develop inside just like chickens' eggs. They feed on the yolk and they stay in the egg for about 9 months. So that's probably why these sharks are asleep. They've been laying lots of eggs. Philip has just asked, why don't the fish eat each other? That's a really good question. We feed them, so they don't need to hunt. Also, we keep species that wouldn't eat each other in the wild, so they live together in the wild. We wouldn't put any small fish in here, but they do generally get on. And if we look down at the bottom here, Callum's feeding them still. So I think he's trying to feed most of the skates and the stingrays. They're the flat ones right at the bottom. And those skates lay eggs like this. So they're a little different from the cat shark eggs. The cat shark eggs are green and long, and these are sort of square and spiky. And they're just like the cat shark eggs. They leave them for about 9 months at the bottom of the sea until they hatch out. We are closed to the public currently, but if you are able to, please do make a donation to us. There's links on our Facebook page. That would be amazing. If not, if you could like our Facebook page or head to the Ocean Conservation Trust website to find out more about what we do, that would be lovely. And here we have Heather giving us a wave. That's a little horse mackerel swimming away from us. And then swimming past us just here, we've got a pollock. Now these fish are really popular in fish fingers, so if you've ever eaten fish fingers, you've probably eaten one of those fish. Oh, someone's asked, what is the bright blue fish? That's a really good question. These fish are gorgeous. These are called Cuckoo Wrasse, and Cuckoo Wrasse are all born female, and they're all born bright orange. So that orange fish you can see in the middle of the screen now is a female. And then when the females get to about 8 years old, if they're the largest female in a group, their hormones will change and they'll turn into a boy, and they'll turn bright blue. So that blue one was a male, and these orange ones are the females. There's a little spider crab down on the floor as well. He's incredibly well camouflaged. He's tucked in the rocks right in the centre of the screen. Spider crabs they've got tiny little claws, but they've got amazing defence because their shell is so strong. So he's just hiding down there. Oh, and this is really exciting. There's a little tiny baby conger eel just poking his head out from the rocks. Now this eel's only been in this tank for about 2 days, so that's really cool that we spotted him. Conger eels they live a very long time. They can live until they're about sort of 12, 15 years old. And they migrate really long distances. So when conger eels are born, they're born in the Mediterranean and they swim up to the UK, and they'd spend their life just off the coast of the UK, living in shipwrecks, living in rocks. And then when they get old enough, they swim all the way back to the Mediterranean, and they gather together. And then they swim really deep down in the ocean, and the deeper you get, the stronger the pressure, and they start to pop and explode, and that's how they reproduce. They're incredible animals. And the divers are continuing to scrub and clean. They do work really hard. Well, thank you all for tuning in again to watch us here at the National Marine Aquarium, and happy World Ocean Day once again to you all. Now there are loads of ways that you can all get involved and enjoy the ocean and celebrate it. You can go scuba diving, you can go snorkeling, even rock pooling. If you look under rock pools around our UK coast, you'll find an incredible diversity of life. We are really lucky here in the UK. But if you can't get to a beach, go to a stream or a river or a lake and have a look in there as well. But thank you all for watching again, and please, if you can give us any donations at this time, we'd really appreciate it. But enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much.